Welcome to episode 40 of the Modern Moron. Thank you. It's great. It's a great milestone. A lot of rabbit holes in this episode, and they start right now. If you remember last week's episode when we spoke with the senator, he was on his second cocktail by the end of that episode. In this episode, we go back to the beginning of our conversation when he was beginning his first cocktail. And he was also taunting me with it as well, by the way. Why out of order, you ask? Because I know you were going to ask that. The reason is I wanted you to have access to that graphic from Politico.com on all the different players in the upcoming Trump Impeachment Soap Opera. This week, we start out with a by now old message from Barack Obama in a speech at the third annual Obama Foundation Summit in Chicago during the last week of October. If you haven't heard it, we'll present it here. And if you have heard it, it's worth another listen as he comments on woke culture, W-O-K-E. If you remember last week, we were looking up the definition of the term woke, which led to the word dork, and the senator's definition of the word dork and mine were both correct, apparently, but very different. And then you know what happened after that. Next up, I tell a long-winded story about a conversation with my daughter about Donald Trump, who she is not a fan of at 10 years old. I tell her ultimately that maybe she has something in common with Mr. Trump, which she did not care for. But maybe you have something in common with him too, and that was the point. If you're going to get anywhere with anyone who has opposing issues, it's best to start out on common ground. Next up is a story I heard Woody Harrelson tell about his dinner in the early 2000s with Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and former pro wrestler and former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura. How about that foursome? Fortunately, I found the clip and we let Woody tell the story. This leads to a question I had and still have. Who does Donald Trump truly respect and have reverence for? Possibly his father, possibly his mentor in the 80s, an attorney named Roy Cohn. But what about today? I can't come up with anyone other than his daughter, Ivanka. In fact, I could see her possibly running for her own political office someday. Just throwing that out there. I think she's been able to tone down her father's messages at times. It may not seem like it, but I think she does have influence over him, and I think she's really one of the only people he really respects. The senator thinks he respects the not-so-prime minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. That could be an episode on its own, and I will chime in on that later with the Pandora's box the senator opens about Netanyahu. It's Obama's woke culture, how anyone can get along with Trump, Netanyahu, plus a Netflix movie recommendation on The Modern Moron. You're a terrible influence.
I know that. I know that.
Well, then don't get all, oh, I didn't have anything to do with it when I fall off the wagon.
Oh, no, I don't want anything to do with that, bro. Zero.
Oh, too late. You're jingling a goddamn cocktail in front of my face, but I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Hold on. Listen to this. Oh, God, that tastes so good.
What kind of bourbon is it?
Maker's Mark.
A little sweet vermouth.
Yep. A little
Your
cherry.
fancy sweet vermouth.
Little the bitters. I don't have a cherry because I don't keep up. I'm up.
There are not bitters in a Manhattan. You're thinking of an old fashioned.
No, I put a little bit of the cherry bitters in there. I put a little when I don't have cherries because I'm at my second home and we're running low on supplies.
Oh my God, barf. You are not a worker among workers. You're an elitist.
He's a showboat.
Bullshit.
Oh my God. You
grounded.
just said, I'm at my second home.
Yes.
You know how many people have a second home? Guess how many people don't have a first fucking home?
Oh, here we go. Oh, God.
All right. Did you look at the article that we were talking about that I asked you?
Are you sitting down?
Yes, I am.
I am 100% in agreement with Barry Obama.
Wasn't that great?
100%. Why didn't he say that when he was president? I mean, it's like, yeah, I love that. That was a great little snippet you sent me. Thank you.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to set it up here.
No, it was really good. And the way he said it was like, get over yourself, man. Just get over yourself. The world is messy.
This idea of purity and you're never compromised and
You're always politically woke and all that stuff. You should get over that quickly. The world is messy. There are ambiguities.
Yep.
People who do really good stuff have flaws. People who you are fighting may love their kids. And, share certain things with you. And I think that one danger I see among young people, particularly on college campuses, Malia and I talk about this. Yara goes to school with my daughter. But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. Let me get on TV, watch my show, watch Grownish. That's not activism. That's not bringing about change. If all you're doing is casting stones, you're probably not going to get that far.
I love that.
You say, why didn't he say that when he was president? We always, once a president isn't president, remember we talked about Bob Dole coming on late night talk shows after he had lost, and he was so witty and had a sense of humor. It's like, where was that guy when he was running for president?
That's a great example. Yeah. Where was he?
I brought up something to my daughter that goes along these lines. We were walking into Sunday school, and she said, I wish I knew somebody who'd listened to your podcast and I could just go into their brain and know who they are. I said, well, I know a couple of people who listen to it. And she said, no, I would like to go into the brain of somebody who you don't know that listens to the podcast. I said, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? I said, maybe somebody will email us sometime from our email address, therealmodernmoron@gmail.com. She said, why did you name it The Real Modern Moron? And I said, because our president, Donald Trump, has a Twitter account called The Real Donald Trump. And she said, why does he have that? And I said, it's because some people might use his name and try to say things as him, and he wouldn't want that. Would you want somebody acting as you, putting words in your mouth? And she said, no, I wouldn't want that. I said, well, there's something you have in common with Donald Trump. And she has been programmed to not like our president, as I'm sure you're not surprised by that.
Shocking.
Right?
Yes.
And I have said, look, it doesn't matter. He is our president. You have the right to disagree with him and protest against him, but you got to respect the office. And I said, and if you wanted to talk to President Trump and tell him some things that you did believe in, you wouldn't want to start out by saying, I think you're bad, I think you're wrong. You want to start out with a place of commonality. That's how you start a relationship. And I said, you wouldn't want to go in and tell Mr. Trump he's bad. Start out by saying, I like that you have your Twitter account, The Real Donald Trump, because I wouldn't like people putting words in my mouth either. Mm-hmm. Then you can start from a place of agreement and start building a relationship. That's what you have to do before you start negotiating or trying to get someone to listen to your position without being defensive from the get-go. And I think that's what Obama was saying. It's like, you can't just go around pointing your finger at people.
That's why I just shake my head at people on social media who go on there. It doesn't matter what side they're on, but they're just, shooting arrows and, oh, he's this and he's that. How does that make things better, really? How does that help?
Right.
It doesn't. Zero. And I just shake my head at people, oh, he's a moron. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just talking about people in general who go on there. And I see it all the time. And they'll post something. It doesn't matter what side it's for, but oh, he's a jackass. He's a jerk. Oh, he mispronounced this, or he said this. Oh, I can't believe how embarrassing it is. And it gets worse, right? It gets worse. That's just stupid. it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But mutual agreement, sitting down, finding out some boundaries, finding out where you're coming from, where I'm coming from. That's what diplomacy is all about. You may not like the person. I'm not asking you to like them. I don't give a shit if you like them.
But you got to find some common ground to start with.
Yes. And it probably just, especially with our current president, I bet it eats at some people having to go, you know what? I'm going to have to go into the room with him. I'm going to have to make some progress here. It probably just, because he's a hard guy to like. Let's face it, man. He's a tough guy to like, right? I mean, he's not that easy. And if you really hate him, you got to just put down the sword, put away your gun.
Pretty hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do.
Easy to say, hard to do. However, that's your job. If you're an elected official, that's your freaking job. Not to obstruct things, not to make things worse, not to disrupt things. So do your job. Figure it out. That's what you're elected to do. That's what we're paying you to do. And you're not doing it.
I heard late night television, Woody Harrelson was on, and he was promoting the new zombie movie that's coming out. And the guy interviewed, I think it was Seth Meyers, but he said, Woody Harrelson had dinner with Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and Jesse Ventura. And he's like, what was that dinner like?
Donald Trump wanted Jesse, to be his running mate for the Democratic primary in 2004.
That's true.
What was that dinner like?
It was a little bit tedious, I'll be honest. And no disrespect to our current incumbent, but I had to just walk out after a while. You know, when the guy's just talky.
So of the four of you at the table, what percentage of the talking would you think he did?
He did about 98. Melania did about a 0.01. And, I think I got maybe 1%.
Yeah.
But part of it included, can you excuse me for a moment? And I had to walk out and fire one up just to...
Good advice.
He just couldn't deal with Donald Trump dominating the conversation constantly. That's all he can do is talk about himself. Can you imagine trying to get something constructive? Like, how am I going to find some common ground with this guy if you're politically opposed with some of his views? That's a tough nut to crack.
It's a tough one. And way beyond our pay grade, right? In terms of trying to analyze that guy, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you stroke his ego? Do you be combative? I mean, he does have some sort of respect for certain people, I mean.
Who do you think he has besides Putin? Who do you think he has like reverence and real respect for?
Do you think?
Besides Putin?
Well, Putin looks good riding that horse without his shirt on. I think he's jealous.
I said besides Putin.
Oh.
Who does Donald Trump respect, do you think?
Oh, boy. That's a good question. I got to think about that. And children don't count, right? Because I think he respects his kids. But that's an easy one, right?
I only think he respects one of them.
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe nobody.
I think he only respects his one daughter. What's the one
what
that's...
about Jared? What about Jared?
Jared Kushner?
Yeah.
Please. Oh, give me a break. He's married to
I don't know what her
Ivanka?
name.
Ivanka?
No, that's his wife, I think. I don't know. Trump's daughter.
Melania is his wife's name. Ivanka Trump.
His first wife, Ivanka, wasn't it?
Grab him by the
Yeah, Ivanka.
Okay.
It's Ivanka Trump. I think he respects her, and that's it. He mainly respects her because she's gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
He's a perv. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, that's true. You don't agree with that?
No, that's kind of icky.
Yes,
Because
agreed.
he's hot.
It's icky.
That's icky, bro.
He thinks his daughter is hot.
I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop it. You know what? You are sick.
I know, isn't it terrible?
Yeah.
No, how
Well, you're
terrible.
known for saying
Is that
outrageous
terrible?
things,
It's
Mr. Trump.
Who are you, Woody Allen?
Yes, I agree. It's gross.
Yeah, that's not right. That's icky. It's dirty.
Well, we're trying to figure out someone that Donald Trump has reverence for and respects.
He loves Netanyahu. Loves him.
Really?
Loves him.
What does he love about Netanyahu, do you think? What are the qualities that...
I think Trump supports Israel far more than Obama did. Obama hated Netanyahu. Hated him. And I think...
How do you know he hated him? That's a strong word. Why do you think he hated him?
Because Obama took, we can roll into this if this was illegal or not, but Obama took taxpayer money and sent it to Israel to support the opponent of Netanyahu when Netanyahu was running for prime minister. That is a fact. It's in the Washington Post. You can look it up. He sent
Just
my
because
money.
it's in the Washington Post. Our
here we
president
go.
would disagree with you on that.
Okay, well, it's been a fact. It's a fact.
Okay,
Look it up.
okay. I'm not denying it's a fact, but I'm just stating
Okay, well,
the
I'm sure it's in
source
other
that you had.
papers. But anyway, he sent about $350,000 to Israel to support the opponent of Netanyahu. That's how much he hated him.
He took appropriated tax funds and sent it over to Israel to...
He sent it to a group called One Voice. One Voice it's a political action group that runs campaigns. He sent $350,000 of taxpayer money to One Voice, to a group. They were backing Israel-Palestinian peace settlement negotiations, right? But hold on. One Voice used the money to build a voter database to train activists and hired a consulting firm that also had ties to Obama in support of Netanyahu's opponent. It's a fact.
Okay, the senator really opened a can of worms with this one. I had to go way down another rabbit hole with this one to provide a little context for the actual moron listener like myself. First off, I don't think Obama hated Israel. Israel has their own version of Democrats and Republicans and conservatives and liberals. Netanyahu is the equivalent to a Republican. Netanyahu is still Israel's prime minister, but it looks like that's coming to an end, at least as he has enjoyed it over the past 10 years. He is in line with Israel's Likud party. It's a conservative party formed in 1972. That's why he gets along with Trump and did not get along with Obama. I'm including 2 links at the bottom of the description if you're interested. So Israel has their own political fiasco going on, as their elections in September didn't have a clear winner. They couldn't come up with a winner back in April. That's why they had this other election in September. The best headline I came up with for you is from Bloomberg News, which is a left-leaning publication. The headline from September 18th is, Israelis just saved their democracy. Netanyahu wanted to annex Palestinian land, neuter the Supreme Court, and put himself above the law. This week's elections means those things won't happen. Again, keep in mind, this is a left-leaning publication. Here's an excerpt. Had Prime Minister Netanyahu achieved the solid victory that he sought when he had their Congress dissolve itself almost immediately after a hair-thin victory in April, Israel could have been a different country. Also in the article, quote, he is likely to be indicted for corruption and had thus pledged to have their Congress give him immunity from prosecution. Since it's almost a foregone conclusion that the Supreme Court would invalidate such an action, he and his colleagues were openly discussing making the courts subservient to their Congress, essentially ending judicial review in Israel. If that's true, that would be like making our Supreme Court subservient to our Congress. And they are, for the most part, separate entities, not with equal powers, but definitely separate. Have I digressed enough for you? Oh, God. Let's get back to the senator's statement that Obama gave something in the neighborhood of $350,000 to support Netanyahu's opposition in Israel, something to the equivalent of their Democratic Party. He's comparing that to Trump's $400 million congressionally mandated military aid package. You be the judge.
But nobody cares about that. All they care about is a fucking stupid phone call from Ukraine. Nobody cares about that.
Oh, so you are in support of our president?
I'm not in support of our president. I think it's stupid to impeach, go through the process to impeach him when they know goddamn well he ain't going anywhere. Period. He is going nowhere. The Senate will not
Don't you
vote
think they know that?
to impeach.
Don't you think they know that?
I'll tell you why they fucking are doing this. I'll tell you exactly why. They got in a closed room and they said, we can't get rid of this.
They being the Democrats?
They being the Democrats got into a fucking room and said, look, this guy, we cannot get rid of him. We need to just hurt him. How can we hurt him? Because if he gets elected in 2020, he's going to have at least 2 more appointments to the Supreme Court, people. And if that happens, look around this room, you guys. We're fucked. Okay? That gives him 5 appointments out of 9 seats. And they're looking around going, we just have to hurt him and we have to hope for the best. So how are we going to fucking hurt this guy? Let's hurt him. We got to cap him at the knees. He ain't going anywhere. but we just have to try. That's why they're doing this. Period.
All right.
Don't
I
yell
get
at
it.
me!
You ramble on.
That's a
Jesus
fact.
Christ. You're a...
Fucking having another.
All right. I get it. Can I ask you a question now? Jesus, I should have called you after 2 cocktails.
I'm only taking questions for 2 minutes. Please, go ahead.
So,
Good one.
you think that the strategy here is to press him to the point of, and possibly impeach him in Congress, but it won't go through in the Senate. But if they can make this all happen to where they've got whatever the Democrats have, they've got an ace up their sleeve, what they consider an ace. And they're going to probably hold that till, right about this time next year, right about mid-September. And then they're going to play their biggest card in this impeachment process, because the best they can hope for is to get him,
Right.
Voted out by the people. Having the people vote him out would be much better than true impeachment.
Well, imagine that, to legitimately remove him by vote. Wow, that's how it's supposed to work.
But then he would be a martyr.
I know that.
Oh, he would love that.
Oh, they drug him out of office.
Oh,
right?
He would love that.
Exactly.
I have no doubt about it.
He would love that. Then he could be the martyr that they did this to me. But if the popular vote and the American people vote against him and vote him out because enough dirt has been dredged up on him by the time we get to this time next year, then he loses.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And you think that is the strategy of the Democrats, right?
But what do you
That's their
think the ace
strategy.
what do you think? I mean, they already tried that. Feinstein tried that with Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, where she held the big letter from Ford who said he was at a party and they partied, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that didn't work. That did not work. So what do you think they're holding?
I don't know what it is either, unless they get something better for later.
Okay.
They're playing a card game. They're playing poker right now.
I think it's going to backfire.
They're playing poker.
It's going to backfire.
It absolutely could, unless they have some information that they're withholding, and they're going to hold it as long as they can up until maybe this is why Pelosi has waited this long to initiate the impeachment process, because she wants to take it right up. It's going to take at least a year to get this done. She wants to take it right up to the election. And they're going to reveal the most damning evidence against him right before the election for president.
And you think that's going, do you think that will work?
I don't know.
Okay. Did it work with Kavanaugh?
Obviously not. He's in the Supreme Court now.
Right. It didn't work. There was a letter that she held from Ford, the woman who accused Kavanaugh of rape or assault or whatever you want to call it. And it's tragic. And whether it happened or not, I don't know. But she held that letter on purpose and brought it out at the last minute during the hearings, and it backfired.
It backfired in that he obviously got elected, or how specifically do you feel that backfired?
Because there was no proof. It was an accusation. Zero proof. Just like I can accuse you of being a child molester. And if I say that, how are you going to defend that? Oh, the old man is a child molester. How are you going to defend that?
I say, no, I'm not.
Yeah. And it's just me, an accusation against you. I think that's horrible. That's what she did. No proof. Zero. I just think it's terrible. I think it's exactly what old Barry said earlier about the world is a messy place. The world is a messy place. I like when he said that.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that all happened. And I'm sorry for her. I felt bad. I felt horrible for her. I felt bad for both of them. God, I mean, I can't even imagine. It's terrible.
If it happened.
Yes. Yeah.
It's terrible for me to say if it happened. I'm putting myself out there. Like, if it happened, how dare you? Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Oh, God. My head hurts.
It's tough stuff.
I need another cocktail.
Yeah.
I'm going to make another cocktail.
You're having another cocktail? Oh, see. So we want to take a break here? You almost spit your bourbon on your microphone. And thus we have come full circle. I hope you get something out of these political moronic rants, and if you can emotionally detach from the outcome of this craziness, I think you'll find it pretty interesting. Yeah, never mind. I'd like to leave you with a non-political Modern Moron Netflix recommendation. If you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, and I'm not talking Dr. Dolittle Eddie Murphy or the Nutty Professor Eddie Murphy, I mean old school Eddie Murphy like Eddie Murphy Raw or his album Comedian. I wore the grooves out on that record. Anyway, he has an original movie on Netflix called Dolomite Is My Name. It's vintage Eddie Murphy based on the true story of comedian Rudy Ray Moore. Rudy created a character named Dolomite and produced films starring himself to spoof blaxploitation films, and he did it on what you would definitely call a shoestring budget. I heard somewhere that Eddie Murphy would have Dolomite parties where they would watch all of his films. Eddie was such a fan. Rudy Ray Moore was a comedian, but also a huge influence to other comedians. He wanted to do it all, comedian, film star, and a musician, and he found a way to realize that vision without Hollywood. And to the black community, he is a bona fide hero. He paved the way for the Eddie Murphys, the Dr. Dre's, and the Jay-Z's. He is the example of perseverance.
Dolomite is my name, and f***ing up motherfuckers is my game. He wants to be a movie star. I'm gonna take you to a Hollywood.
If you've seen the film, or after you see the film, there's a great 20-minute YouTube segment on the making of the film with the cast, including Eddie Murphy, Wesley Snipes, Craig Robinson from The Office, Keegan-Michael Key, and the rest of the core cast. Not only do they talk about the film, but they speak of what it's like to be an actor as your chosen career and how it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you're going to be in that business, you have to stay in that business, no matter how high you get and no matter how low you feel. Wesley Snipes shares a personal story on just that, and it was just great. Very interesting, great Eddie Murphy film honoring Rudy Ray Moore. Link is below. That's it for this moron. I hope you're able to keep your moron meter down low, and if not, I got your back. See you next time.
I'm the godfather of rap and the king of the party records. And I'd like to leave you with this. I've been known to rise up, but I'll cool down later. I'm the bad motor scooter. I'm the human tornado. Dolomite is my name, and I'm out of this mother.